Good afternoon and welcome to the 35th Annual Celebration of Business and Art Partnerships. My name is Mark Bunting. I'm this year's MABCA Awards Chairman, and I'd like to thank you for attending virtually. We do hope to be together next year in person. Today's event was made possible through the generous sponsorship of the Alabama State Council of the Arts. We appreciate their support so much. Special thanks goes to WSFA's Sherman Williams, with our Executive Director, Ashley Ledbetter, on creating our virtual event. Today's theme is hope. MABCA is an organization of businesses, and we're filled with hope for our communities and for the arts organizations that add so much to the fabric of our world. Please enjoy today's presentation. Welcome to the MABCA 35th Annual Celebration of Business in the Arts. For the past 18 months, our world has experienced a pandemic the likes of which we have not seen. It has affected every aspect of our lives, work, and play. As a result, our local arts organizations have suffered from the closures, postponements, and isolation from their audiences. When considering the effects on our arts organizations, MABCA decided we would change things for this year's event by giving the art groups the opportunity to introduce themselves by telling us their stories of how they've been affected, what changes they have made, lessons learned, to highlight their creativity, ingenuity, perseverance, and most importantly, focus on their bright futures ahead. The business community has been there for our arts organizations in the past, the present, and will be in the future. We appreciate the business community's support now more than ever to keep the programs, exhibits, performances, concerts, plays, and services going, even in a virtual or redesigned format. Businesses of all sizes have continued to give their time, advice, financial gifts, and service, which is an immeasurable asset to these arts organizations. A vibrant art community does not happen without strong business support, which is what MABCA exists to promote. We encourage everyone listening today to become involved with these and other great groups in our communities. We all want that vibrant quality of life, and we need to support the arts to ensure we continue to have those opportunities. Arts and culture are essential for building community, supporting development, nurturing health and well-being, and statistics show they contribute substantially to a healthy economy. Thank you for your continued support, and we hope you enjoy today's presentation. MABCA thanks our arts organizations for their tireless efforts and for adding so much to our quality of life. We appreciate the many businesses of all sizes that have continued their support of the arts in so many ways. The arts organizations could not have survived without the steadfast business support. Please keep up the good work. I will now turn it over to our MC, WSFA's Mark Bullock.
Good afternoon, I'm Mark Bullock, and I'll be your virtual MC for today's program. What a great start to our celebration of the arts. Given 2020 and 2021 have flipped our world around, MABCA has done the same for our event. Our River Region arts organizations want you to know they haven't stopped their hard work, and so they will share their experiences and share with us what is on the horizon for their organizations in an effort to give us all hope. We'd also like to take this time to thank our generous patrons for their support of the luncheon today. They're being displayed on your screen right now. We want to thank you for the support of what we hope will be our last virtual gathering, because we all hope to be back in person together again in 2022. Patrons, we hope you're enjoying the lunch provided to you by Vintage Cafe. We've all seen the devastating effects the pandemic has had on the restaurant and hospitality industry, so please continue to support your local restaurants. MABCA's 2021 artist is Sasser Jacoby. She creates hand-painted wooden plaques that inspire and motivate, using uplifting, emboldening quotes and phrases that reflect her desire to share joy and do good by others. She has lived in Alabama for all of her life. She was born in Ozark, is a University of Alabama graduate, where she double majored in art and advertising, and she's lived most of her adulthood in Birmingham and now Montgomery, where she moved with her husband Ray back in 2006. Both her mother and grandmother were painters, and Kay recalls being regularly crafty, creative, and even messy during her childhood. I'd like to invite Montgomery Mayor Stephen Reed to present Ms. Jacoby's artwork.
My name is Stephen Reed, Mayor of Montgomery. I am honored to present the 2021 MABCA artwork entitled Hope. Kay Jacoby created this piece using Archbishop Desmond Tutu's quote, "Hope is being able to see there is light in spite of all the darkness." We have certainly experienced darkness during the pandemic, and this quote embodies what our leaders want to convey to our communities, that there is hope for healing, for better times, and for a brighter future. Our arts organizations provide that sense of community that we have been missing through their programs, exhibits, performances, concerts, and services. The arts provide that quality of life element that is vital to a community's well-being. So today, it is my pleasure to present this artwork to the arts organizations as a token of MABCA and the business community's appreciation for their hard work. We will provide each art group a replica of this artwork in hopes that they proudly display it in their place of creative business, as a reminder of our appreciation for them. Thank you to each group.
Let's now proceed with our presentation. For the past 35 years, MABCA has recognized business support of the arts, recognizing those productive partnerships that further the awareness of the business sector's role as a supporter of the arts community. This year, we will visit each art group, giving them the spotlight and letting them tell us firsthand their appreciation of that support from the business community. We'll view the visual arts and theater groups now.
When the pandemic hit, we had 2 shows going. We had to immediately close those. They both had about a week left in their run. We had to cancel the rest of our season. That cost a lot of money because we had to lay people off. We had to give refunds. Our earned income stream just completely stopped in a moment's notice.
We've certainly had to make changes of how we make art, where we make art, who we make art with. We've done it online, outside. So it's certainly asked us to stretch ourselves, which is great for an arts organization. And there's things that we're gonna keep going forward. We've done exciting events in our garden where we have installed mini fairy doors. We've turned Puck's Garden into this fairy wonderland. We've done educational events out on our front lawn. And we just had our first show of our next season, which was an outdoor show and picnic. The pandemic stopped in-person performances, but the mission didn't stop. The mission to build community has to keep going. That's what we're asked to do, that's what we're tasked to do. So we kept going.
We had a remarkable response from all of our donors, our business community. Most of them renewed and kept their support at the levels they have kept it at. It was very encouraging to see that support from the community. We start back just after Thanksgiving with Cinderella and then A Christmas Carol. And during those runs, our new public restrooms will open, which will be on the level of where the audience enters. There'll be a new gift shop going in. Our old gift shop is being converted into kind of a lounge area, and we'll have 2 new beautiful bars. So there'll be some physical improvements that people will be excited to see and will really help the audience experience at Alabama Shakespeare Festival.
The thing that people need the most right now is what the arts do best, and that's bring people together. This coming holiday season, we have a classic Rodgers and Hammerstein musical, Cinderella. This is great for the family. And the rest of the season builds upon the things we do well. Big, classic Shakespeare, great music, original stories. We've got some new works in there. And of course, our Southern Writers Festival, which is something that we are known around the country for, of developing new Southern writers.
I'd just like to thank all of our supporters who have stayed with us during this pandemic, our board for their incredible leadership, and our staff primarily for the work they have done and the way they've hung on with Alabama Shakespeare Festival through these tough times.
About 18 months ago, we were geared up to go in a local public high school to teach art in the schools. And I had an Alabama State University art professor lined up to teach these students and help them build portfolios. But the week we were supposed to be in the schools shut down due to the pandemic. That caused us to have to make a hard pivot. We ended up receiving a grant from Central Alabama Community Foundation and United Way, and we were able to support local artists at that time just by providing art supplies for them. Personally, as an artist, I didn't paint as much, but I spent a lot of time drawing COVID-related drawings on Facebook Live and Instagram Live, and I would get the audience involved. I would allow them to dictate what I created. Another thing that we also did is we started doing murals. And I think the first one started with, Michelle Browder calling a couple of our organizations, just asking us to help, and we brought our artists out, and people got a chance to get outside. They got a chance to breathe. They got a chance to create. Public art, it all draws people to an area. People want to have fun. People want to be in a thriving area. They want to be in a space that's beautiful aesthetically. As far as the murals are concerned, just dealing with the visual arts, it's been amazing to see how art immediately activate those spaces and also encourage businesses to move back to those areas when there hadn't been businesses then in decades. Since the Welcome to Westside Montgomery mural has been there, it's added a social and cultural value to that land that's adjacent to the facility that we're in now. So we want to give people an opportunity to be more engaged in the actual core of the community. We are a smaller arts organization who has the ability to make a larger impact in not only the Washington Park community, but the city.
We had begun the 2020 season with the theme of telling new stories through new perspectives, looking through different eyes, and we had a amazing season planned for 2020. We got the first show in, which was The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime, which Scott here directed. We had a fantastic time with it. We had just done auditions for our second show of the season, The Quality of Life, and pandemic. How do we keep moving forward? How do we keep creating? Because our job is to serve our community and give people an outlet for creativity.
A lot of the work that we do has rights and royalties, and we weren't allowed to just put that onto streaming services. We were able to create original content from public domain stories and write and produce and film and put that content out over the summer.
We had something like 50 people involved on creating from scratch. We wrote, we conceived, we designed, we rehearsed, we filmed everything virtually from beginning to end. It was a thing we belovedly called Project Playhouse. We were also doing our guitar pulls virtually, which was a ton of editing. We were doing all sorts of things streaming. We would do interviews with the Quality of Life cast, who was also during all of this rehearsing on Zoom for what felt like an eternity. Thankfully, a few years back, the Foshi family and the Foshi architecture and a whole lot of people in the community chipped in to help us create an outdoor courtyard stage, which has changed the game for us.
I don't think we ever dreamed that our little courtyard stage would be more than maybe a music venue or something. And now we know we can do full-on productions. We know how to do them. We've navigated that. It has shown us that our community really craves the arts. It's something that they need.
A lot of people in our industry lost their jobs. A lot of people never reopened their theater doors. So we've been very grateful to the support of the community keeping us going during this, because we wouldn't be able to keep creating without that support.
We've had great businesses in the community. The Foshis, who built the courtyard, sponsored an outdoor show. Sandra Nickel and the Hat Team Realtors are sponsoring our next show. Montgomery County.
They sponsor our summer show every year. So they sponsored our virtual show. They sponsored our first indoor show. We've just been incredibly lucky, and we're very grateful for the community's support.
Just like all of the other arts organizations, the pandemic has presented a real challenge for all of us trying to create. And for those of us creating theater, it's been doubly challenging in some way, because we've been faced with making decisions about how to keep our artists safe, how to keep our patrons safe. We've done some things out in our parking lot and invited our audiences just to come and join us in that experience. And we've done some virtual programming and invited audiences to join us that way as well. Our community and our corporate sponsors for the Depot have been nothing but generous. Even when we weren't having a traditional season, they still stepped up to say, we're supporting you anyway. The pandemic certainly didn't kill the energy and the vibe in Wetumpka, particularly this year, because we had such a presence with the HGTV Hometown Takeover. And it really was an exciting time in Wetumpka. Gave us a real renewed sense of hope. They were nothing but lovely to the community and really inspired the whole downtown area to work together and create something really beautiful. And the Depot players are just thrilled to be a part of that. Currently, we are revisiting Big Fish the musical, and that has a real special place in the Wetumpka heart and soul because so much of the movie was filmed in Wetumpka. And then we'll be looking at the holidays. We'll be bringing in school children for a school play called Jingle Arg the Way. It's a pirate-themed Christmas show. And then we're going to revisit our hometown Christmas canteen, which is a real patriotic show, and looking forward to bringing our audiences in for both of those. Well, at this time, all of the arts organizations are just begging folks to not forget us, to come back, support us, and they can do that through simple things, through donations and buying a ticket. Even if you don't feel like getting out right now, go ahead and just buy that ticket and support all of us.
Last year, of course, was the first year that the Regions Bank show was actually affected, and we learned a lot. Orrin Timons was the chairperson and the president at that time. He was able to make our reception, with the help of Bob Coley, into a virtual experience. Everybody was absolutely thrilled about that.
This year was the 55th annual Regions show, which is a very significant milestone for us. We ended up restructuring the show so that we were able to have both a virtual reception and a virtual jurors critique. Not only could you go to the Regions Gallery area on the second floor mezzanine to see the show in person individually, you were able to go online and see it, so that we were still able to stay active in the community. We are so excited to be offering for the first time Montgomery Art Guild members show, which is very, very exciting to be able to do as a special non-juried opportunity for artists to show who have joined as members of the Art Guild. The Montgomery Museum of Fine Arts and Montgomery Art Guild exhibition is a biennial event. It really draws a significant expanse of artists, and it has a really different opportunity for artists. It has larger size limitations, so we see a very different body of work appear in our museum event than we do in our Regions event. We also have a wonderful series of art talks that are available virtually online. Montgomery Art Guild is one of the oldest organizations for artists in the Montgomery and River Region area. We're always trying to branch out and meet artists' needs that are the needs of today.
We were actually active with the show and had just had an opening reception at our ASU Warren Brick Galleries. And it was a wonderful show for women artists, highlighting Women's History Month. And no sooner than we had the opening reception, the world shut down. From that point, we really had to look at how we could move forward and still be creative. I think artists wanted to create something, whether it was something that communicated the state that we were in, whatever that frustrations, whatever those things were, we wanted to be an avenue for that creativity. From that point, we started to focus on the things that we could control. We started to look at options for public art. We also decided to virtualize the show that we had at the Warren Brick Gallery. We also then launched a new program, Under the Influence. And thinking about some of the business that supported us during that time, I think about Chi Agency, Feminist Hot Dog, SPLC, Alabama State Department of Visual Arts. Also, our continuing relationship with Tuskegee University Public Dialogue team and the work that we're doing through creative placemaking in the Peacock Track area. We have several murals that's going up in that area. This time also allowed us to have the opportunity to work with some of our favorite arts organizations, such as the Cloverdale Playhouse, and we were able to launch a collaborative program for performing arts, rhythm and rhyme. So as we go into 2022, we're looking forward to continuing our relationship with Tuskegee University with the launch of the Tuskegee Agriculture Innovation Center, combining arts and agriculture and community building. We look to continue our partnership with Alabama State University and the Warren Brick Galleries, the Visual Arts Department. There's opportunities all over the place that we are looking to explore, and we're excited about what we can do creatively in our community.
It was great to hear from the visual arts and theater groups. Now let's take some time to hear from the dance and musical groups.
In a typical year, we see between 3,000 and 4,000 students in outreach concerts in partnership with our Montgomery Public Schools. The real magic of Clefworks is bringing musicians into very small spaces and direct connection with our audiences, and we were unable to do that because of the pandemic. We were able to keep the music going. We were able to focus on local Alabama musicians and really dig deep into the talent that we have right here in Montgomery. This year, we hired Alabama musicians exclusively, and it was such a pleasure to showcase all of the talent that we have right here. We are so grateful to our board of directors and to our loyal patrons who continue to faithfully support Clefworks and help us be nimble and innovative. We're very, very proud that because of our board's dedication, we were able to hire over 30 musicians during the pandemic and continue to fund them and continue to fund their efforts with innovative projects like videos about what makes a string quartet and how you build a harpsichord. We took part in a national event called Gras across America, and that program was able to stream into each of the 50 states. We were the Alabama presenter, and that was a remarkable way to bring people together for a live concert. We do have some exciting things on the horizon, and we have a Chamber Music America grant that was supposed to be in conjunction with the 65th anniversary of Mrs. Rosa Parks' arrest. And now we're going to celebrate the 66th anniversary with a street-side concert at the Rosa Parks Museum and Library. One wonderful way that we were able to see the impact of what we had been missing was our partnership with Alabama Shakespeare Festival this April. And we spent every Saturday and Sunday out in the park, and rain or shine, everyone came out, all ages, and the excitement that people had to be out, excited to be together, even if they were a little bit more distant, and hear live music. It was incredible. It really demonstrated the importance that the arts have in bringing us all together. We had groups from all over, some of whom hadn't had the chance to play together in 18 months until we invited them, thanks to Alabama Shakespeare Festival, into their garden. As we approach 2022, I want to invite everyone to come back to the arts and participate safely and show their appreciation for the musicians, the artists who have been through so much. They love nothing more than an audience, and you can support them with your faces and your feet and your dollars and your donations. We're dying to see you. We hope that we get to see you in 2022 to celebrate our 15th anniversary.
ADT was founded in 1986 by my mother, Kitty Seal. It's our 35th anniversary season, and we're really excited to celebrate 35 years of Alabama Dance Theater.
We're a school. We offer dance classes for children aged 3 and up throughout the River region. We have a company of dancers who audition every year. They're the extra dedicated students. They rehearse and they perform 3 times a year at Mistletoe, our spring concert, and at Stars on the Riverfront. Wow, this last year has been,
It looked a little different.
for everybody, it was an adventure. We were very fortunate. Our dancers are used to discipline and flexibility, so we masked, we kept our distance. At times we had to Zoom our studio to their homes. We have all been so grateful for the opportunity to continue their training because it is an athletic art and it's very important to stay in shape. But it also means a lot, this community that they have.
Right.
The company especially are a really tight group.
We did a virtual mistletoe last year. It was presented differently, but they still got the experience of being in the theater, makeup, costumes, lighting, and to me that is important for them.
We are so grateful that we didn't lose a single sponsor due to COVID. Our mission was met, our goals kept going, and our support was still there from the community. There is a need for young people to have an artistic outlet and a creative outlet. ADT is a wonderful place to play. It's a place to work hard. It is a place where young people change their lives. And our mission is to serve the community through dance, through education or performance. And we've been able to do that this year, and we hope to carry on for many years into the future. We've got Mistletoe, November 12th, 13th, and 14th at the Davis Theater. That will be our holiday production featuring Miss Kitty's favorite dances.
Yes. Some traditional pieces, some favorites, and then we have some brand new pieces that are going to be in the performance, so we're excited about that.
We've got plans for spring back at the Davis, and then we'll be back on the riverfront in July. And we have been hosting community days, which really open the Armory Learning Arts Center's doors to the community at no cost. We have guest faculty all over the Southeast who are terrific teachers, and their specialty is teaching first-timers.
For us, it's about the kids. I mean, they need to express themselves, they need to perform, they need to move and be seen.
And it's our gift back to the city. Those performances, we do 2 nights on the riverfront, and they're free. It's a picnic. Come see what you want. Bring your little kids. They run around and dance. It's for the whole family, really. We'd like to thank everybody who has supported ADT, whether as a dancer, an audience member, or a patron, or a corporate sponsor. We are so fortunate to have the broad support of this community, and we really appreciate it. It makes it possible to do what we do.
The essence of the Montgomery Chorale is to spread the beauty of music and the art that unites us throughout the river region, and we're not going to let something like a pandemic keep us from doing something that is so crucial and important to our art form. And so throughout this pandemic, we have found unique and creative ways to reach out to our audience and to our community. We used Zoom to do our annual Messiah sing-along, where we had hundreds of people join us and sing with a house choir and a house orchestra. We did outdoor concerts at the amphitheater here at the Riverwalk, and we even did some digital recording that we are sharing with our community. A great example of that is our concert out at the Riverwalk, aptly named "How Can I Keep From Singing?" That iconic text. We saw a wonderful opportunity at the Riverwalk to share the music that we do and the experience that we have come to know and love with the Montgomery Chorale in a safe and an effective way. And our people came out, and it was a free concert, mainly because of our wonderful sponsors and because of the city of Montgomery that enabled us to give this free gift to the community. Our sponsors were not only faithful, but went above and beyond what they normally would do. They kept us not only afloat, but gave us the resources to be creative and to find new ways to reach our audience. We simply could not have done what we did during the pandemic without our businesses, our individuals, our sponsors who keep us doing what we do. The Montgomery Chorale is excited to start our concert coming out of this pandemic, roaring ready to sing. And our first concert in October 21st and October 24th, Ode to Joy. We think that this is a time to celebrate the art form that unites us, and we're singing Brahms' Requiem in the spring, and we're doing a special from the stage, Broadway and opera in February at the Montgomery Museum of Fine Arts. We're excited for a big season.
As soon as COVID started, we were already planning on moving locations. We knew that our student body would shrink for obvious reasons. And so we used that opportunity to move into our current space here on Woodley. We shifted a lot of our shows since a lot of venues were unavailable. So a lot of our performances became smaller, more intimate environments with smaller audiences. We converted Beer Commerce Works to a black box theater and performed for 70 people there. The chapel at Pike Road, I can't say enough things about the chapel. She just gave us a space to do performances. Everything had to be adjusted to the venues that were available to us. But I was very proud of my company, very proud of the board. Instead of doing what a lot of companies did across the country, which is just shut down, we did all our shows. We didn't cancel a single show. Since then, we just keep getting creative and trying to make revenue in other sources, since along the path, we did lose some funding. We do a monthly whiskey tasting sponsored by the Alley Bar and Beer Commerce Works and Aviator. All proceeds go to the ballet, and it became a system in which not only did it fundraise for the ballet, but it became a networking place. Coming up, we have a lot of exciting things happening here. The most exciting news is we're going to start our move into Fairview. We should be hopefully moving in by October-ish. We're still doing our 4 main stage productions. Ballet and the Beast in 2 weeks. Nutcracker currently scheduled in 3 cities and growing. Our Mardi Gras performance that we do annually, that's currently scheduled in 3 cities as well. And then our spring production is actually scheduled in 4 as of right now. During COVID, we lost human connection. It all became digital and Zoom. And though those were blessings in their own way at that time, as COVID goes away, we need to come back to what we are, which is a society, a culture, and come back to human connection. And so I encourage everyone, not just for Montgomery Ballet, go buy a ticket at ASF, go to the Cloverdale Playhouse, support the Capri Theater, the Wetumpka Playhouse, all these things that have in-person events. Just go and enjoy music, the art, the theater, dance, because at the end of the day, we are humans and we need relationships.
Our organization is a bit unique among orchestras in that we consider ourselves a community orchestra. We certainly did fewer performances. There were some that we had to cancel as the COVID numbers fluctuated, but we did in fact do 3 live concerts with people in the hall this past season. So April of 2020 probably was the first concert that was canceled by the Montgomery Symphony in the last 45 years. I would say the two things that allowed us to perform live concerts in 2020 and early 2021 were due solely to our volunteer orchestra members and our business partners that were still willing to go in it with us. I would certainly, like to thank BBVA and Bruce Crawford, who were there for us when we came back for November. The John and George Cadell Foundation from Holiday Pops. In April, our principal sponsor was Stiefel. And then most recently for Broadway Under the Stars for its return, Regions Bank and Robert Birmingham. This is our 45th season. Our conductor, Tom Hines, of the last 37 years, retired in September of 2020. We have named an interim music director and conductor, and that is Jamie Reeves, who actually is my younger brother. And so we're very excited to have him. He conducted Broadway. Audience and orchestra members alike have certainly enjoyed him being here. And we still have our two fellows. We have split their concerto performances. So if you come to the concert on October 18th, you'll see our returning cello fellow, Michael Zizak. Then in November, we'll get to meet our brand new violin fellow, Ji-Hae Choi. We'll have our, back to the traditional Joyce Cadell Holiday Pops concert in December. February, we have a very special performance because our concert will be on Valentine's Day, and it will be opera night with the symphony with a very famous, wonderful soprano, Rachel Gilmore. If you haven't been to a performance of the Montgomery Symphony to enjoy our community orchestra, as we say, of and by and for Montgomery, then you owe it to yourself to come and see really what this is all about.
We are very lucky to have the dance and musical arts groups that we have here in the River region. Now let's look at our last group, which includes museums, historical preservation efforts, and cultural affairs.
I think we're all going to remember the last 2 years as years of incredible challenge, but also as years of extraordinary opportunity. One of the greatest blessings of this time of challenge has been having the Cadell Sculpture Garden. We were able to reopen to the community in August of 2020. While the Sculpture Garden has always felt like the greatest of gifts, its value just expanded exponentially. It came at a time when the community was just so hungry to be out and to feel connected. Our very clever staff had the great idea to create an Instagram takeover program called Local Artists Live. Every other Saturday morning, you can actually tune in and have a tour of an artist's makerspace. In connecting through our local artists, we both deepened our relationship with a very important group to the museum.
Well, the last couple of years have been so challenging for so many in our community and beyond. Through it all, we've realized just how strong and how generous, how kind, how compassionate our sponsors really are. And they've allowed us to make some pretty big shifts, from the cost of programs to whether programs happen on the same time frame, staffing, virtual versus in person, all of those things. But our sponsors, every time we went to them, each and every one of them were so thoughtful and said, of course. So for everything that they have always been to us and for everything that they have been the last 2 years, we say thank you.
We invite everyone to come back out to the museum. If you are ready to come and visit us but want to stay outside, there is the Sculpture Garden. There are new things for you to see out there. If you're ready to come on in, our permanent collection galleries are refreshed. You'll see new things there, and always there are changing exhibitions. But if you're just not ready to come back out at all, check out our website. We have an incredible archive of past programs as well as all of the upcoming program opportunities.
Year and a half has been certainly a challenge for the City of Prattville and the creative and performing arts. We were able to continue to focus on the arts and to bring arts to the city. One of the biggest events that we have is the Wilson Picket Music and Arts Festival. And we weren't sure if we were even going to be able to have it. This was back in March. So we just started learning about how to do virtual programming, and we were able to do the entire festival virtually. And we had people from several different countries that were a part of the festival. So it was really nice. We had a lot of concerts. We had art exhibits. We had the Words and Music program that we promote local talent This year we've had the Creek Walk concert series in person. We had summer camps. We had some that were virtual. Theater camp was virtual, but art camp we had in person. Things are opening up a little bit for us, but we learned so much about virtual programming that we intend to continue with that as well as our in-person events. And the City Council and the Mayor have been wonderful to accommodate us and to make sure that we were able to still have our programming.
We've got the fall art show starting this month. The theater has had sellouts. Murder on the Orient Express. The Addams Family is getting ready to start. It's sold out.
During Christmas, we'll have a whole lot of events. We're hoping to have the Mardi Gras Festival where we have a lot of artists that come out and have booths. We have the Artist on Main that we'll have periodically. This spring we'll have another one where we take local talent and they're placed in different areas around Main Street, not only visual but performing. And then, of course, the celebration of the arts in March is huge. We have had an outpouring of people who want to attend events. Riverbank has stuck with us for many of our events. The healthcare systems, we have a lot of people who come in and volunteer with us. And our Arts Council board, anytime we need something, they are there.
Just like most tourist attractions, the museum has suffered revenue-wise, attendance-wise. However, Troy University Chancellor Dr. Jack Hawkins Jr. believes that people that work for an organization are extremely important, and he made a conscious effort to protect people's jobs. The tours haven't started back much, but we're excited that at least people are starting to venture out again. Troy University knew that we couldn't do business as usual with the Rosa Parks Museum or the Davis Theater or the Planetarium. Any of our community outreach organizations, we were able to do a virtual tour so that people could watch the museum tour at home. We also did a traveling exhibit. Now we had to purchase a second one because it's so popular. So we actually take parts of the museum story out to schools, out to libraries. We want to thank the people who have supported us, especially the donors and the people who have helped us with things like Rosa Parks Day last year, as well as this coming year. We do have a big event coming up on December 1st, the unveiling of artwork of Rosa Parks, her portrait sitting on the bus, and it's a unique piece of artwork. It's going to be on the outside of the museum, so when the museum is closed and those tour buses come up, people will be able to get off the bus, pose in front of this artwork, and get a good photo. We've started celebrating Juneteenth. We celebrate it at the museums. We close the streets and have a big stage, and we have all types of presentations and music and poetry and activities, vendors. It's an opportunity for citizens of Montgomery and visitors to Montgomery to come out and celebrate that historic time in our history. Also, if you'd like to visit the Rosa Parks Museum, we encourage people to come and take the tour.
The department, as you know, was begun in January of 2021, and we had some particular challenges that involved our climate of COVID that persisted, and we tried to schedule events that would bring them outside but still allow them to come together. And we took a creative stroke for that. We not only wanted to do events that centered around the community, but that sort of still connected us to the nation. So we looked at national events that were being celebrated, and we have had some relative success with that. We were also able to reinvent some of the festivals that we have hosted before, instead of just doing a second Saturday, for us to be intentional about programming it to target communities that had been underrepresented, to help identify them, recognize them, and promote them. So we came up with a series of multicultural series. We were able to come together and host performing events that showcased theater, music, and dance of the Asian American, Pacific Islander culture, our Native American culture. We have the Hispanic Culture Festival that's going to be coming up in a couple of weeks now. One of our biggest successes, I think, so far was our 4th of July event. We had to reinvent that, but it was a showcase dynamic that was showcased all of the artists, theater, music, and dance throughout the city of Montgomery and even the region. It has been a breath of fresh air to be able to convene and perform and to provide quality experiences for our community.
I started in September of 2019, so I got the baptism by fire. But the organization has been really resilient through all of it. We've had great support from our board and leadership from them, and then our staff who just are completely dedicated to Old Alabama Town and the mission of landmarks. The day that we figured out that it was probably going to be time for us to kind of shut down when all the field trips canceled on us, I sat them down and I said, how do we turn this into a positive? We've seen an opportunity to create an environment where folks can experience history. Board support and corporate support and really community support in general has been phenomenal. Longtime friends and people like Alabama Power, Service First, Synovus have been there to help us. We've got programs running all the time. This weekend is Tavern Fest. At the beginning of October, we've got Market Days, which is kind of a new community-based program that we've started that just opens up Old Alabama Town, brings in local vendors, and then kind of showcases local artists, local musicians. We're going to do like a haunting of Old Alabama Town, tell some scary stories. Walking tours were inspired by Mary Ann Neely. She was world renowned for her walking tours. Everybody that I talked to still tells me how much they miss those tours, how much they wish that she was still around to give those tours. And they say, well, you know, we're still doing them. We want to talk about our city's history, and the walking tours is a phenomenal way to do that. The Renovators Open House Series is an opportunity for landmarks to showcase the renovations and the preservation of Montgomery's historic architecture. Like recently, we were at Grove Court Apartments. I think that's probably the biggest Renovators Open House we've ever had, and that's really exciting to see life being brought back into these buildings. I just want to say thank you to all of our members, both the individuals and the corporate members. Your support, your donations, your volunteer time, the pats on the backs, all of those things. We just really greatly appreciate all of that. And we really appreciate your support in the future too. So thank you.
What a fantastic way to finish out our presentation. We hope you will all take advantage of all of these arts opportunities we have, these exhibits, these concerts, performances, and other programs and services. We're thrilled that these groups are open today and ready to welcome you all with open arms. They always need volunteers, in-kind support, and of course, monetary donations to keep their good work going, which makes the River Region a unique place to live, visit, work, and play. I'd like to now ask MABCA Executive Director Ashley Ledbetter to conclude our program.
Thank you, Mark. On behalf of our Board of Directors, I would like to thank our main sponsor, the Alabama State Council on the Arts, our table sponsors, and our arts organizations. We hope that today's presentation has left you with a feeling of being enthused and encouraged as to our arts organizations and what they've got going on here in the River Region. We truly believe there's something for everyone, and we would encourage you all to attend an exhibit, a performance, a concert, or an event here in this next year. We know that the arts organizations would welcome you all with open arms. Thank you again for your support of MABCA and the arts.